Not today. Today's going to be a good day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on True Story FM. I'm Pete Wright, and right over there is grumpy Nikki Kinzer.
I'm not grumpy.
Grumpy.
I'm just trying to figure out this whole, am I looking at you? Do I look at me? Do I look at the notes? Where am I?
No, what am I doing? There's just a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And we're trying this whole new streaming platform. We're trying out
really
StreamYard. It's really fun. Yeah, look how happy you are.
I'm so happy.
Jubilant. Jubilant. You and I are here for the big final episode of the season 25 and of the year. And we're very excited about that. But we actually have a sneaky, super sneaky guest.
Yes, we do.
She's here, but she can't say anything yet. Do you have anything you want to say about her before she can respond?
She's fantastic.
Yeah, she is.
Amazing.
Fantastic. Smart, funny, super funny.
Yeah.
Capable. Oh, all the things.
She has ADHD.
Ugh, like a champ with the ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's bring her in. It's Melissa Batchelor, Discord mom. Hi, Melissa.
Hello. I heard what you guys were saying about me.
I prefer you right in the middle, so you're sandwiched by nice things.
Oh, that's nice. I like it.
This is not the first time you've been on the podcast. You've been on.
No.
So people know you. They definitely know you from the internet. This is Melissa from the internet.
That sounds awful.
Discord
Discord.
mom.
This is Discord mom, and Melissa has orchestrated our Fun Times Challenge today, and we'll be essentially emceeing the episode. Is that a fair way to put it? You're going to MC
at least part of it.
Okay. So you're the Jerry Lewis of this episode. Throwback telethon humor. Nobody remembers. Okay. So we're going to get into that very soon. But before we do that, we got to tell you some things. We want you to head over to Take Control ADHD. And when you get there, you can get to know us a little bit better. You can listen to the show right there on the website or subscribe to the mailing list on the homepage and get an email when the latest episode is released each week. You can connect with us on Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest at Take Control ADHD. But to really connect with us, join us in the ADHD Discord community. It's super, super easy to jump in the general community chat channel. Just visit takecontroladhd.com/Discord and you'll be whisked over to the general invitation and login. If you're looking for a little more, particularly if this show has ever touched you or helped you understand your relationship with ADHD in a new way, we invite you to support the show directly through Patreon. Patreon is listener-supported podcasting, and when you join the community, you pledge a few dollars a month, and by doing that, you guarantee that we continue to grow the show, add new features, and invest more heavily in our community. To learn more, just visit patreon.com/the ADHD podcast. Thank you, everybody, for your support this year. Nikki, we have some news.
We have some news. So I want to remind everyone that GPS, the guided planning sessions membership, is open for enrollment right now at this very moment, and it will close on January 2nd. So if you are interested in figuring out a system around your calendar, task management, having some information around prioritizing accountability, having the space to actually do the planning. If this sounds like anything you might be interested in, please visit the website at GPS, Take Control ADHD, and visit the GPS page, because it has all of the information about the different benefits that come with the membership. And we would love to have you join us in this next cohort. This is not something that I offer on an ongoing basis. We're only offering it a couple of times a year. So if you're listening to this and it's open, then please go sign up. If you have any questions, you can always email me. And if it's closed, put yourself on the waiting list, because those people are the first to know when it opens up again. So if you happen to be listening to this after the fact, you can still go on and put yourself on the waiting list, and we will get into contact with you as soon as we can when it opens again. So there you have it.
TakeControlADHD.com/GPS. It's very, very easy.
GPS. Very easy.
GPS. Very, very easy. Okay.
Yes.
Then I guess it's back to my turn for some news, because you know what time it is, don't you, Nikki? You know what time it is.
Time to cook.
It's TEXTEXPANDER time. It's always text expander time.
Time to text expander.
Oh my gosh. You'd think after doing this all year, you might know what time it always is. And let me tell you, so we always talk about text expander in terms of what you could do with more time each day, each week, each month. But today's subject comes directly from my experience yesterday and how grateful I am for Text Expander, because I have a lot of snippets in Text Expander. Text Expander, you know what Text Expander is. You put your snippets, frequently typed text, in the Text Expander library, and then when you expand that text by typing just a few short keystrokes, it expands to whatever that was, whether it's a sentence or a username or a date or some kind of calculation or entire paragraphs of text. You type a few keys and your text then populates. For me, my favorite feature today, I lost my entire computer yesterday because I borked it myself. I did something stupid and I lost everything and had to reinstall from scratch. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am that Text Expander library is cloud-based and it syncs with all of my devices, whether it's on my Mac or my Windows machine or Chrome or iPad OS, iOS. The fact that I could just download the Text Expander app and see all of my work that I had previously saved there so quickly and get right back to the business and right back to all of the moves that are so programmed into my fingertips. Like, I know my snippets, and when Text Expander isn't there, I feel naked. It's like not putting your watch on in the morning or not having your phone in your pocket. You're just nude all day. That is a computer without Text Expander for me, and it is incredibly powerful. You keep your message consistent, you save time, and you be more productive, and you're accurate every time. The way we work is changing rapidly.
And you stay warm.
Work. You stay warm. You're not naked. Make work the way your brain works by saying more and less time and less effort using Text Expander. And here's all you have to do. You can get a whole year of service with 20% off. All you got to do is visit takecontroladhd.com/textexpander. That will whisk you over to the Text Expander sign-up page where you sign up. The 20% off will already be applied. Just takecontroladhd.com/textexpander. I have been getting messages. I know there are people out there who are actually using December, the time of cleanup and kind of getting systems organized. Things are slowing down. People are writing me asking, hey, where can I credit Take Control ADHD for my sign-up? It's takecontroladhd.com/textexpander. It is fantastic and so easy. Thank you to Text Expander for sponsoring this show. All right, let's get to the business. Melissa?
Hello, everyone. It is time to play Who is Your Co-Host Anyway? I am your host, Melissa, or better known to our listeners as Discord Mom. On today's show, we have the hosts of Taking Control, the ADHD podcast, Nikki Kinzer and Pete Wright. Welcome, contestants.
Yay! Hello.
Oh, we're so glad to have you. All right.
We are happy to be here.
I'm
at least I am.
I
can't speak for Pete.
No, I'm definitely nervous to be here.
We're here to play the game Who's Your Co-Host Anyway? That I already said if you were listening. Here's how the game works. Earlier, we asked our contestants a series of questions about themselves. Today, we're going to be asking those same questions to the other person to gauge how well they think they know their podcast co-host. Each correct answer will award you a series of points, and at the end of the game, we will learn who knows their co-host best.
Oh boy!
Wait, you answer. So the questions you asked me are the same questions you asked Nikki? The same questions, even number 2?
Oh no, they're completely different. You have no idea what we will be asking you.
Oh,
well, that's good. That's what I want to make sure, because number 2 was pretty specific to me, and I would be surprised if she also did that thing. Okay, let's go ahead. This is going to be great. Very exciting.
Okay. So to decide who goes first, I would like each of you to choose a number between 1 and 20, and I will roll a 20-sided die, and whoever is closer to the number that I roll will go first.
Okay.
Okay. 17.
Pete, pick a number. 17.
10.
All right. And 10. All right. Let's roll the dice and see. And I rolled a 10. That means Nikki goes first.
Oh, dear. Okay. Here
you
we
may
go.
not know Pete very well, but you seem to know my dice very well.
Thank you.
All right. So, Nikki, for
I'll
the
take
first
it.
question, for 1 point,
Okay.
what is Pete Wright's full birthday? We're going to need month, day, and year.
November 20th, 1972.
You are correct.
Crap.
Thank you.
Crap. Are you upset that she knows your birthday, Pete?
Yeah, I am real upset.
So I even have a scoreboard here.
Oh,
It's
look.
hard to see because of my ring light. But that means
Nice.
that Nikki Kinzer, this is hard to do backwards, gets 1 point.
Yay!
Hooray!
1 point for Nikki.
All right. Now we're going to move on to Pete. Pete Wright, what
Yes.
is Nikki Kinzer's full birth date?
I think it's October sometime. Maybe September-y. It's in the fall of
3 seconds.
1971.
Gonna need
Fall
an answer.
1971. That's my answer. It's fall 1971. That's all I got. I don't remember.
Oh, this is where the audience would go, oh, as the buzzer sound. Because that was incorrect. We were looking for September 7th, 1972.
72? Really? We're that close.
Well, yeah, I'm not a whole year older than you, Pete.
Okay.
I would like to say
just
now,
turned 50.
You just present so much more mature. That's what it is.
That's
You're just
what it
such a
is,
grown
for
up.
sure.
I would
But
like
can
to
I
say
just
now.
can I say something that
Sure.
I kind of cheated? Because when I saw that as my question, because you asked me what my birthday was, I looked
Correct.
to make sure that I knew when Pete's was, just in case you were
The
to ask.
nerve. My
When did you
own
look?
co-host.
I knew it was in November and I knew it was in 1972, but I didn't know the exact date. So can I have a half a point?
When did you look?
Yesterday.
That was before the
Who?
game show. That is completely legal.
What?
Okay, good.
What? What?
Thank you.
She's so honest and declares her own malfeasance. And you
I know,
still
and I
let
still
that
get a
go?
point. Yes.
Unbelievable.
I
This is
haven't
like turning in money you find
This
on
is
the
the
street
this
and
is
being
the
given a
hanging
reward.
Chad of game shows. That's what it's called.
All right, moving on. Okay, let's keep going. I have a point. Pete doesn't. Go ahead, Melissa.
The employees and subsidiaries of Who's Your Co-Host Anyway are not responsible for any upset feelings or arguments that may result from this game.
I'm already writing a sternly worded letter. What is number 2?
All right. Number 2 is for Nikki. We have one. This one is for 1 point as well. Who would Pete Wright's number 1 dream guest be on the ADHD podcast?
His dream co-host, or not co-host. I hope you don't have a co-host dream. Guest. Oh boy. It would be probably somebody really techie. Like the founder of TEXTEXPANDER. There you go. That's my answer.
That is a great answer. And it is also wrong.
Oh.
So Pete's answer was Prince. He did elaborate. He said, yes, he is dead, but he probably had ADHD and he's a dream guest.
Hundalicilia, y'all.
All right. I wouldn't have gone with someone who was dead, but that's all right. Okay.
Dream guest.
Oh,
it was an open field.
There you go.
That's true. We did not specify alive or dead.
You did not.
So.
Nope.
All right, Pete, for 1 point, who would Nikki's number 1 dream guest be on the ADHD podcast?
I have no other choice but to play Jason Mraz, only because I feel like she just wants to get closer to him at any given point.
That's a good answer.
But
it's also incorrect.
It's also wrong.
Nikki's answer was Mel Robbins.
Which I knew you would never guess.
Who is Mel? I don't even know who Mel Robbins is.
She is, she has a podcast. She has a book. She's like, I follow her on Instagram. So she's very like inspirational, kind of like a Tony Robbins, right? But she has ADHD.
Okay.
So it'd be really interesting to me to interview her around like her message and ADHD. I knew you would not get that. And I almost
was
said
very
Jason
specific.
Mraz. So you're close, but you still got
I'm
it
sure,
wrong.
according to the fly-by-night rules of this game show, I will not get a half a point for intention.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Mm-mm. Sorry.
The employees and
Okay.
subsidiaries of Who's Your Co-Host Anyway do not appreciate the shade.
The shade. Okay.
All right. We're back to Nikki for 1 point.
Okay.
In this question, we tested Pete's physical prowess. Would Pete rather fight 1 elephant-sized frog or 50 frog-sized elephants?
I'm going to say 1 elephant-sized frog.
Well,
Wow.
you had a 50-50 chance of being correct, and you were not.
Oh, dang.
Verbatim,
Okay.
Pete's response was, "Oh God, 50 frog-sized elephants. Are you kidding me? An elephant-sized frog is a dinosaur. No way."
That's good. That's good. All right.
All right, and we're back to Pete. Currently, just an update on the score. Nikki has 1 point, and Pete has yet to get on the board. There's still time.
Thanks
Pete,
for the update.
this next question is for you. For 1 point, we asked Nikki if there were an alternate reality where you, Pete, did not follow your current reality life path of entering the world of journalism and podcasting, what career would you be good at? How do you think Nikki responded?
Wow, that's a good question. No journalism, no podcasting. I imagine I want to say something completely like join the circus or something. Like it'd be completely outside my realm, like astronaut. But my hunch is she took it a little bit more seriously than that, and uh, uh maybe adventure photographer.
Unfortunately, that is incorrect. And if you had gone with your first instinct of circus performer, I would have accepted that because
What?
Nikki's response was an actor or entertainer.
Oh my God.
And then this morning I was thinking about that question and I almost wanted to ask Melissa if I could change my answer to like a director. Like I could see you directing films too. So something in the industry, film industry. Yeah.
It would have been very, very close. Would have been very, very close. Yeah.
Circus performer, entertainer.
All right.
Well, so
acapella
far,
singer.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That also would have been a great answer.
Yeah.
So far, we have asked our contestants 3 questions apiece, and it doesn't seem like they know their co-host all that well. But we do have more questions to ask our co-hosts after we take a break to hear a few questions for our co-hosts that have been sent in from the listeners of the ADHD podcast.
All right.
Patreon subscribers can tune in after the podcast to catch the second half of our game show and learn who actually knows their co-host best. If you're not currently a Patreon subscriber, you can head over to patreon.com/the ADHD podcast to learn more and subscribe so you can hear the rest of the game show.
Such a
there you
pro.
go.
What a
yes. Woohoo. Pete, we got to do better.
I know. I know. Melissa's coming for both our jobs.
I know. No kidding.
Okay, so I think Melissa, since you're here, you should tee up the questions.
Oh, dang.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys are really putting me to work today.
Uh-huh.
Yes, we are.
That's right.
That's all right. That's kind of my job. All right. So we got some great questions from our listeners. Thank you, everybody who submitted them. So we're going to start off with our first question. What are your thoughts on ADHD coaching as a resource for managing ADHD?
Well, being that I am an ADHD coach, I do think it's a very important piece of the overall management of ADHD. So, of course, I'm a big believer in coaching. I think it's a terrific resource. I definitely think, as I've said in the show before, there's this puzzle that happens when you're navigating your ADHD, and coaching is one part of that puzzle. As medication is a piece, therapy is a piece. There's a lot of different strategies, things like that, right? That are all pieces around navigating and managing your ADHD. Coaching is different than therapy, so I think it's important that people understand that there is a difference. Coaching is more focused forward. It's more goal oriented. You definitely have to be in a place to receive information around your ADHD to better understand it. Coaching allows the space to have acceptance around your ADHD, because now that you kind of understand more about how it affects you, you can learn more about how to work with it rather than against it. And so a lot of those strategies and systems that we build happen in coaching, where therapy can be a little bit more of the emotional piece, more around your past and how you're dealing with those kinds of things that could be trauma related, or things that are more therapeutic conversations. It's not always an affordable piece for some people. So I suggest that if you can't afford an ADHD coach, to definitely still look into group coaching, which is sometimes, most of the time will be not as expensive. Support groups around your town or city. Chad has a lot of different support groups that are free. Newer coaches that are looking for hours to get certified is always a good place to go to. And then, of course, finding your community, your ADHD community. Like ours with Patreon, and ADA is a great organization that has a lot of different support groups for adults with ADHD. So it's a piece of it. And I definitely think it's a great resource. And I highly recommend it, guys.
Oh, surprising everybody, Nikki Kinzer is a bull on coaching.
Yes. Yes, I am.
I don't really have anything to add to that other than I guess, I think you just said it. Like it's the practical side. It's the actual living skills side of living with ADHD. And I think it's incredibly important. So ADHD coaching is a resource for managing. It is really centrally a resource for managing ADHD, like above all of the sensory stuff that you deal with medication and mindfulness and all that stuff. So yeah, it's huge.
Our next question comes from someone who says, I enjoyed your TechVember series, and I wondered if you had thoughts on browser tab overload. To be clear, I don't think this can be solved with tools alone. I have Toby, one tab limiter, multiple Chrome profiles, and I still have 50 tabs open. It seems very similar to the email overload problem with a couple major differences. First, old tabs don't roll off the screen. They hang around forever, making it harder to find what you're currently focusing on. You can also open these tabs yourself, so you can't delegate, and you can't go back to your boss and ask them to prioritize things for you. I think that this is all due to unfinished shopping or research due to indecision, poor organization, being unsure what to do with interesting things, knowing that if I bookmark them, they disappear forever, giving myself more stuff to do while procrastinating, like saying I'll read this later, or no integrated to-do list system, so these unfinished tasks just hang around forever. I'm curious how you would approach this problem. I'm a bit overwhelmed and can't figure out where to start.
Surprising, maybe, everybody. I do have thoughts. Nikki,
and I am giving this
would
to
I be
you,
interrupting
Pete.
you? Okay.
No,
Right. Well, I don't want to step all
this.
over your brilliant ideas, but I do have some thoughts. My first is just in the spirit of no judgment, right? Like, let's just stop and ask, what is the problem with having a lot of tabs? Because I know a lot of people who just forgiven themselves for saying, I've got a lot of tabs, and sometimes they get really cluttered, and sometimes I have to restart and I lose a bunch of stuff, and maybe that's okay, right? Like maybe it's just the way you use your computer. And it used to be the thing where having a lot of open tabs would really slow things down. Like you couldn't functionally use your browser. And if you are on an older system, you might still kind of experience that you need to close tabs because they're a disaster for your just general like operation of the device. but it's less so on newer things. And so I don't think that's a huge problem. I think the real issue, if you find it's a problem, I think the real issue is trying to solve it with tab management tools. Because to my mind, that's not the problem. The problem is the behavior of opening tabs and not considering those tabs just another incoming signal. Your browser is just another inbox. And remember, my theory on inbox is you've got to have one of them. So that incoming signal, when you have an open tab, it's part of a project or a task that you have to schedule time to do. Where does it go? It goes into your task management system. So the way I deal with this personally is I happen to have a shortcut set up for my browser where I just say, okay, here's a tab. It's related to a project. I click the little button in my tab bar that sends the tab to Todoist, and it sends the link into Todoist where I can write a little note, paste any information in there, and then I can schedule that for when I'm going to come back to it. And so I don't have a library of 50 different tabs. I don't have to have multiple profiles because every single tab that I open goes into the work project that I'm working on related to that tab. And when I'm finished with it, I close it. Now, that might not work for everybody, but I would just offer that maybe tab management tools like OneTab and Toby and all those aren't the tools that you should be looking at to help solve your tab problem. Really focus on those tabs as you would any other piece of information, whether it's a PDF or a link to an email or some other document that comes in that you need to deal. That so is the website that is associated with that tab. Treat it like any other bit of information, and I think you'll find you clean that up. I don't know. Did I miss anything, you guys?
No, I think it makes perfect sense. And I think looking at it that way is really helpful to see it as it's something that's incoming that you need to process. I like that angle of it. Yeah. Good.
And I think, even down to unfinished shopping, like I have a shopping list in Todoist, right? And I have it actually broken up by section by person. And so if I have an incoming tab of something that I see online or I find it on social or somewhere, I just send it to Todoist. And then when it comes time to shop for somebody's birthday or Christmas, I go to their list and I see all the things that I dropped in there. And I don't have to worry about indecision because it's all right there. Like it doesn't have to sit there for 3 months in my open tabs list where I'll forget the relevance of it in no time, right?
Well, I think you hit something there, right? Because I'm wondering if the fear is, I need to keep this open so I don't forget about it.
Yeah.
But when you have 100 tabs open, you're not remembering it. It's not an effective way to remember something. So
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Good. I like it, Pete. I always learn something from you when it's tech related. I appreciate that.
Well, I hope so. I hope so.
All right, let's move on to our next question. This is also a tech-related question for Pete. It says, It's no secret that Pete Wright loves his tech. My question for Pete deals with a hypothetical situation. Picture this. Pete, I think you should close your eyes for this. Really, really get a good picture.
Okay. All right, really
It's
get
December 31st, 2022 at 11:59 p.m. The ball is dropping. Midnight. Happy New Year. Except, what's that? Nationwide power outage. For whatever reason, the U.S. seems to be experiencing the nightmare scenario that was predicted for Y2K. There is no more electricity. No one knows how long it's going to last or if the power will ever come back. Can Pete Wright survive this apocalyptic scenario?
I think because that is a binary question that you asked, I will give you a binary answer. No. I don't think Pete Wright can survive that, but for many reasons. But let's be honest, like a zombie apocalypse, I'm the guy just going to run into the crowd of zombies. Let's just end it quickly because I just have I don't have a lot of patience for survival skills. I'm just not made for that. I don't think I am. The other part of the question, right? Like if you take the apocalypse out of it, let's say there is a massive crash of systems and I lose a bunch of data. If I know anything about humans and organizational systems, we rebuild. I am a huge optimist on rebuilding systems. And if I lose a lot of data, I start collecting data again, right? I just start over and I recognize and give myself permission to know that I've lost things and I'm going to have to figure that out. And I'm going to have to figure out what to do with myself. It might cause me to change gears. And I think I learned that when I had my photo apocalypse, when my entire photography career of 100,000 images was decimated in equipment failure that I hadn't backed up because of equipment failure. And I realized that, data is ephemeral. Even when it's saved on multiple hard disks and multiple cloud services, it could be lost at any minute. And I have to be okay with that. And that was a hard lesson, a very depressing lesson to learn. And it was because of my bent. But so much of my behavior around how I organize my data on my computer is because I love organizing my data on my computer. And not because I really need to keep all that data forever and ever. It's because it's part of my personality. It's how my brain works. If things are lost, I build new systems because that's how my brain works. I build new systems.
That's fantastic.
I like that.
I love
like
that answer.
I love that you turned a silly question into a thoughtful response.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Focusing at work is hard. Don't I know
Yep. It is.
Some days are better than others.
True.
What is a good strategy to employ for those tough days when your brain just wants to look at everything but work?
Yes. So, boy, we have those days. And especially with ADHD, I think that I will talk to clients and they'll talk about how some days ADHD is louder than other days. I think if you're having a really hard time at work, and focus is the issue, acceptance. Accepting that, hey, this is difficult right now. So if you keep trying to focus, the harder you try to focus, the harder it's going to be to focus. So I would say at this point, take a break, take a little bit of a break, and get outside and, breathe, get some exercise, get something to get that dopamine hit, right? Talk to your accountability partner and let them know what you're going to work on so that you have something or you have an accountability partner to kind of help you and check in with you. That can make a big difference. So I would say that when you're having a tough time, look at what strategies you have in your toolbox and do one of them and see if it can't help break that moment of not of wanting to do everything but work. The other thing I think is that it's really common for ADHDers to have a really productive day and then the next day not be productive. And so know that that's kind of a normal thing to have happen because, you've spent your energy. And so now you're sort of on that downfall of, okay, recuperating, from the high productive day yesterday. So that's where the acceptance comes in and just says, okay, you know what? It's okay. I had a great day yesterday. Maybe I, set a realistic goal of maybe one thing to do before the work day, just so you can feel like you did something. But sometimes you just have to throw your hands in the air and say, I'm done for today and I'm going to start again tomorrow. And that's A-okay.
I agree with that. I think that, the one thing that strikes me that I feel like that the people who know me and know my ADHD and also live with ADHD do well is that they will tell me, hey, your inability to focus right now is impacting my inability to focus. And so, or my ability to focus. And so sometimes you need people, when you talk about accountability partners, you need people who are not afraid to tell you, hey, this is what you're doing right now. And you need to know that that's what you're doing. And because sometimes I don't even know that I'm not focusing because I'm so into what I'm looking at. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
And so
absolutely.
I think it's reciprocal, practicing that behavior yourself with others it makes you more willing a recipient when somebody does it to you. So,
there's something that came to mind when Steve Jobs had this quote, and I'm going to probably mess it up, but it's one of my favorite quotes about going to bed, one step closer to your goal. Mm-hmm. And that's what I would kind of look at is what's one thing I could do so that I can go to bed peacefully and not with regret, but just one thing. one thing that will get me
For
closer.
sure.
And then
For sure.
good night.
Yeah.
This day is
Sleep
over.
tight. Yeah. All right. This broadcast day is over. Fuzz.
Yes. Yeah.
Any self-confidence tips for college students who struggle studying for exams? It seems like they struggle mostly because they're never happy, however long or hard that they try, or that they fail exams because they overthink everything. It feels like an ADHD trap of perfectionism and low self-esteem.
Yes, I'll start with this one, and then I'll be interested to hear what you have to say, Pete, as being a past professor, Professor Pete. Uh, so, couple of things with college students that have ADHD. First thing I would say is if you do not have accommodations, I highly recommend that you sign up for them ASAP. One of the accommodations that you can have that is really helpful around test taking is you can take the test in a different location, so you're not distracted by the people that are around you. You know, are they getting the test done quicker than you are? Are you too slow? Like, you don't have to worry about any of that anxiety. You can take it in a separate place. You can also have extended time on a test, which can be very helpful for you not to have to rush, where you can actually double check your answers and take the time you need to finish the exam. So, you know, those are a couple of accommodations that can help with test taking. But get them. Even if you don't feel like you need them, you may need them at some point, and they are there for support. Talk to your professors. If you realize after the first midterm or first paper that you turned in that you didn't do very well, especially if you did spend a lot of time studying for it, highly recommend that you go into the professor's office hours and talk to them about it. Tell them how you studied, tell them what you did to prepare, and then ask their advice on how to improve that or what to focus on. And that can kind of curve a little bit of if you're taking too long on something, but definitely have that open communication with your professor. All of these things will, I hope, build your confidence in time as you notice that you're starting to get better grades. Limit your classes. So I think that this is a big deal for ADHDers, that I think sometimes, you know, we get in this trap of, oh, you have to graduate in 4 years. You have to take, 16 credits. You know what? Take three classes. Maybe you graduate in 5 years, but it will be worth it because you're not going to be as stressed. You're not going to have to transition from class, for 4 different classes. Even dropping just one can make a big difference. So I would look at how many classes, the class load that you're taking, how hard the classes are that you're taking. Use student resources. Most universities and colleges have student services to help you. They have coaches, they have study groups, they have classes that you can take on how to study, how to manage your time. Definitely take advantage of those things because it's not easy and it's not set up in an ADHD friendly way. So it's important that you advocate for yourself and find out what works best for you. And the last thing I would have to say is just continue with a growth mindset. We've talked about that a lot in the past, but it's really important, I think, in college or any kind of school setting. Learn from what's happening. If you failed, okay, learn from it. Figure out how you can change that, and really just keep growing and looking for the resources that you need, because there is a lot of support out there, and you just need to find it.
All of that. And the thing that sticks out to me here is that they struggle mostly because they are never happy, however long or hard they try. And I think it's important to at least consider whether happiness is the goal during your studies. Happiness is an outcome, but if you're striving to find a system that will allow you to do hard work and be happy at the same time, that I think is the frustration connection, right? When overwhelm meets reality, right? Like you're not going to be happy when you're doing the work. It's going to be hard work, and it will hurt, and it will cause late nights, and it will be struggle, and that's okay. It's supposed to. You make the choice to go to college. Like, it's supposed to be hard work. It's supposed to challenge you, and the happiness comes after you do the hard work and are able to reflect on the journey, right? Happiness is a result of the journey, and it's okay not to be happy during the process. I think happiness is a loaded word, and doing so, like applying that filter to the college experience, I think it risks leading to kind of an entitlement culture. Like this class doesn't make me happy, so I'm going to drop it. And I think that's a mistake, right? You got to know
really
that
good
things are hard. School is hard, and if you go in with hard work is like happiness is the result of the hard work, then the hard work not making you happy won't be so painful. I think the other piece, apart from yes, make use of the entitlements, and definitely if you can afford it, definitely take fewer classes at a time. The other thing to remember, and this goes into, I think I'm reading ahead a little bit, but it goes into the next question, that there is not one system that is going to allow you to succeed at all your classes all the time. And going in with that as an assumption that you can somehow find a system that will work long-term for you getting through your entire college experience is also a fool's errand. Your systems will change. Be ready to adapt to that and use your ability to focus on one thing deeply as a gift, and then know that sometimes it's going to be distraction. And I think if you give yourself permission to think about the fact that things will be hard, you will be distracted, and you're going to have to make use of all the tools, not just one tool. I think you have a better experience at achieving happiness when you're done. I don't know. Am I being too hard-edged about that?
No, I love that you picked up on that distinction and noticed the happy piece of it. I think that's great.
Is there any way to stick with a system that will work for both project management and task management? Currently, I'm playing around with Obsidian, Craft, and OmniFocus, and some command line. Is that utilities, Pete?
Yes.
Okay. From Brett Terpstra, and haven't landed on anything.
Well, good choices, all of them. And I think this is the peril of ADHD system selection. It's hard. And is there a way to stick with a system? I've never found it. I have a system. I have a system that's working for me right now, but I would lay heavy odds on that system changing as tools change, as my workflow changes, as the demands on my brain change. This one is probably the longest that it's stuck in any way, shape, or form right now. The system I use, which is Fantastic Cal, Todoist, and Obsidian and DevonThink for my long-term library. But that is, I make no assumption anymore, as many years as I've been doing it, I make no assumption that that system is going to stick with me for the long term, that being more than the next 6 months, right? Like it is constantly in flux. And I think if there's anything that, my lots of years looking for systems has taught me, even though not as quite as many years as Nikki, because she's so much more mature than I am, is that
apparently by a whole year,
by a whole year, systems are going to change, and that is both the curse of systems and also the blessing of these fantastic tools that we have to be able to test and play with. And I see that part as a gift, and the exploration is the fun part. And so I would add one. Yeah. And the word changes. I would add one thing to that that I think is important. In all of your explorations of systems, future-proof them by making sure that you're not locked into any particular format. That's why I love Obsidian, because it's all text, and I can take those text files from my system, Explorer, and I can move them to any other system that I want, because plain text is future-proof. Craft lets you get your stuff in and out of its system, even though it's not as easy as drag and drop. You can download all of your stuff as plain text. OmniFocus, it also has, you can export all of your tasks as an interoperable sort of comma-separated value, like plain text, like spreadsheet of all of your work if you want to get out of OmniFocus. So I think that's what, you dropped Brett Terpstra, who's been a guest on this show a number of times. That's also Brett's bent, is work in something that can be reduced to text, because that makes it interoperable. You can change tools all the time, anytime you want. And so, I guess that's where I live.
Well, and something that I that I picked up on this, like, so you know how in the other one you picked up the whole happiness thing? What I'm picking up is how are you using, what's the definition between a project management and task management? Because you're asking,
Yeah,
is there a
that's
way to
good.
stick with a system that will work for both project and task management? I want to know how you are defining those things. Because to me, that's the same thing. That's the same system. You have
Right.
a project, you break it down into tasks.
Yes.
So I would want to know how they're thinking about that. And, it's interesting because Obsidian is, and Pete, you can correct me, that's an information management system more so than a task management system.
Again,
Or
you
both.
can,
Like
it's
maybe you
both.
can make it
You
both.
can
Yeah. So,
absolutely, you put task lists in Obsidian for sure.
okay, perfect. So that could be something that you could do all projects broken down into
Yeah.
tasks, information. So I think that when you're looking at different systems, nothing is going to be perfect. And but being very clear about what the purpose is that you need the system to what you need it to do for you. And then I go with what Pete is saying. You have to practice, you have to just play around with it and see how it works, and then you're going to have to manipulate it in ways that will work for you. But make the decision, because the longer you wait to make the decision, the more you're in chaos of what
Yeah.
you're going to do. And that's a terrible place to be. So that would be my 2 cents, is be clear of what you need the systems to do for you and then try them.
Just a quick little shameless plug for our platinum level of Patreon. That's where we offer Coffee with Pete, which is a monthly get together where we normally talk about all things tech. And Pete answers questions like this. In fact, I'm thinking of our last meeting where we actually discussed a lot of these different things.
We did. Yeah.
And I just got Obsidian. I got something to deal with my tabs, and they have been very fun. And it's kind of like trying not to pick up all the things because they all sound amazing. But
Yes.
all right, our next question is a heavy one, so get ready. For both of you, cake or pie?
Okay.
Yeah.
If I had to choose between cake or pie, I would say cake. But I like pie and I like cake. But I also like brownies and I like ice cream and I like donuts. And there's not a lot of sweets or pastries, that baked goods, that I don't like.
Yes. Yes. It's a donut pie cake is what you want. It sounds like a donut pie cake.
Yeah,
I am also
sure.
a cake in the cake category, and it is a red velvet. I'm not a fan of the cream cheese frosting. I like just regular old icing, like a plain old or a ganache. Like I really don't. I don't like the cream cheese in my. I think cheese is meant for, cheese
Crackers.
things, and frosting is meant for frosting things. And a hot dog is not a sandwich. So there you go.
It's true. It's not. I agree with you.
So it's the
100%.
taco.
Right.
It's not a taco. It's not a beef taco.
That is like slander. A taco is so far from sandwich. I've never even heard that question posed. Savages.
No, a hot dog is a taco.
No, it is not. Not even close.
In terms of it is closer. It is closer in many ways to taco than sandwich.
All right, we're
All right.
going to
Well, this is
the
clearly an
business with this
after-show
question.
conversation. What's next?
Yes. All right. My brother, age 26, was recently diagnosed with ADHD and ASD, or autism spectrum disorder. He's been struggling a lot lately and gets easily upset or frustrated. I think routines could help with the autism, but they seem to be so hard to stick to when you have ADHD. Do you have any suggestions about how to stick with routines that half of your brain needs, but the other half of your brain doesn't want?
Yes, I do not have any suggestions. So this is where I'm not the right person to ask, because I don't have the education or understanding of ASD as much as you would probably need to answer this question. So I would say to ask your doctor, therapist, or another professional who has experience with both ADHD and ASD to talk to you about how they work together and what might help. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes me feel I am sad because I know just how hard that complication is of dealing with both of those things when it seems like they're in such odds with each other. And I know that there are people out there who are specialists in helping to create those systems, and I like Nikki, am not that person.
Yeah.
All right. This is our final question from our listeners. Do either of you have any other podcast channels that you would recommend for either ADHD, ASD, or just generally fun podcasts?
Wow. Okay. Well, Nikki, you want to go first? I have a library of like a million podcasts.
So I don't actually listen to a lot of podcasts. And when I do, it's usually when I'm like cleaning the house or I'm doing something, on the weekend. Cleaning. I'm either organizing or cleaning or doing something. But there are some that I have subscribed that I really like. I like true crime, so I like Crime Junkies is my favorite true crime podcast. I also like Small Town Dicks. It's kind of funny. It's about two detectives that are in my town. Like the small town is my town. So it's really interesting to me because it's all like a lot of local stuff. And then I listen to like some business podcasts. Like I'm a huge fan of Amy Porterfield, Business Wars, American Scandal, Smartless with Jason Bateman and his crew, How I Built This, Armchair Expert. I really enjoy. I'm a Wondery subscriber, so I can get all of their podcasts and I love it. Like I never really thought that I would like subscribe to a channel like that, but I really like their shows. And so a lot of times I'll just go in there and pick something, but it's either true crime or business. Or interviews. Entertainment interviews. Yeah.
I think that as an ADHD podcaster, I don't know if this is consistent, but as an ADHD podcaster, I don't listen to other ADHD podcasts.
Oh, I don't either, Pete, at all.
Yeah, like I'm done with ADHD like broadcasting after we do it. And like I do it sometimes to learn if we're doing specific research. But I don't subscribe to other ADHD podcasts. And I think that might, I don't know. I worry about the message that sends. Like I do consume other ADHD content, but my podcasts are protected space for my personal brain. And so I listen to the stuff I love as podcasts.
Well, and Pete, I think with that note too, like I think it's for me personally, it gets me into a different place. Like I'm not necessarily just listening to the interview. I'm thinking about, oh, should we have this person on our show? Like, how would our interview be different? Like, oh, I like that they did this. Should we do this? Like, I go into comparison mode and like, oh, we should be doing this. And it makes me not, it totally takes away from what it's supposed to be. So I don't listen to others either.
100%.
Support them 100%. I think it's great, but I don't listen.
I listen to, Accidental Tech Podcast, 3 nerds talking about hardcore nerd stuff I love. After the Whistle with Brandon Hunt and Rebecca Lowe is about the World Cup, and it's a podcast that is only existing for the World Cup, but I am super into it. Brandon Hunt is Coach Beard on Ted Lasso, and Rebecca Lowe is an NBC, NBC journalist, and they are so smart and they have great guests. Automators is a great nerd show about automating mostly your Mac, but a lot of automation stuff. Let's see, a lot of movie podcasts. I like Cinephile, Hissy Fit is fun. Connected, a lot of the Relay FM nerd shows I listen to and love very, very much. Dear Hank and John, the Focus podcast, oh my gosh, Glass Cannon Podcast Network. Melissa made me listen to that, and I love it so much. I can't even get enough of it. Gank That Drank is a supernatural drinking game podcast that's funny, that just moved to the True Story FM network, which I think is awesome. Kermode and Mayo's Take is a movie podcast that's like Siskel and Ebert, but they're British, and so who can go wrong with that? Oh my gosh, I could go on. Cortex. We've talked about Cortex before. CGP Grey and Mike Hurley talking about how they organize their lives. They're YouTubers and podcasters, and I love it. My brother and me from the McElroys, and Oh my gosh, Robot or Not, which is a weirdly long-running show, 249 episodes. They're all about 5 minutes long, in which Jason Snell, journalist, and John Siracusa, resident incredibly brilliant nerd, rule on the meaning of various words and concepts. And it started with, is this thing a robot or is it not a robot? And they talk about, at some great detail, answering whether or not that thing is a robot. But it evolved once they ran out of robots to things like garlic. Is garlic a vegetable, an herb, a spice, or what? And they answer that question at the level of depth you would not expect from a stupid show like that. Robot or Not is amazing. Is it a house or a boat? If it floats, it's a boat. Or is it? That kind of stuff. It's fantastic. I love that show so much. Robot or Not. And it's like 5 minutes long. Like, you cannot lose with Robot or Not. It's great and stupid and great also. And stupid and great. That is all.
Wow, you have a lot of them.
Oh, and that's just I'm cherry picking through my set of shows.
Yeah.
I subscribe to way too many shows. Like, I subscribe to a lot and I listen to all of them on double, sometimes 2.5 speed. That's how I rock my podcasts.
That's awesome.
That is all.
There you have it. I think that's the show,
Was that
right?
it?
That's
Is that
all
the
the
whole thing?
questions. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was super, super fun. As Melissa said earlier, we are going to continue the How Well Do You Know Your Host game, even though it is steeped in fraud and controversy. We're going to do that after the close of the show. And we hope that members stick around and listen to the rest of it. But in the meantime, Melissa, thank you so much for preparing all of this and being on the show. We love you so much.
Yes, we
Absolutely.
do.
Thank you, guys. I had such a good time. And thank you for having me.
And we appreciate all of you for listening and downloading this show. Thank you for your time and your attention. Don't forget, if you have something to contribute to this conversation, we're heading over to the Show Talk channel in our Discord server, and you can join us right there by becoming a supporting member at the deluxe level or better. Programming note, if you've listened this far, starting in season 26, we're changing our release days from Tuesdays to Thursdays. Shouldn't impact you too much, but that's happening for season 26 when we come back in January. Also, we're coming back in January. We're going to go on a break for the holidays. Enjoy your holidays. You're amazing. We'll see you in Discord, though. We're not going too far. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer and Melissa Batchelor, I'm Pete Wright. We'll see you right back here next year on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.